Okay, so this is the 18 weeks awareness lecture. Right, I must stress, this is just a sort of first cut pilot version. It's apparent that it's going to take quite a long time to get round to everybody in all their different locations to do this face to face. So hopefully people will watch this online and feedback the questions they have about it or anything else they think should go into it. And we'll produce a better version which can then be used as the proper training material for the people putting stuff into the PAS. So what I'm going to go through is what is 18 weeks, where we are now, what our 18-week project is going to involve, and where we hope to be in April 2010, which is the start of the next financial year, and what the key issues are. So the first key issue is that it's not 18 weeks. So 18 weeks is just one type of RTT monitoring which is applied to consultant-led treatment, which may occur either in primary or secondary care. And there is also RTT monitoring for cancer on a 62-day clock, and for audiology, which is also on an 18 weeks clock. So if we look at the overall picture for something like a hip replacement pathway, the referral is going to come from the GP to the acute trust, and it's going to go through the normal secondary care stages. Referral is received, outpatient appointment, diagnostics, decision to treat, and treatment. And so this is the 18-week RTT clock, monitoring from referral to treatment. The patient may then be referred back to primary care for aftercare or rehab or physio or whatever. So this is the AHP clock. The referral is received, assessment and treatment is done, and the experienced wait is recorded here. So once we understand the difference between, we've got the 18-week clock here and the AHP RTT clock here, we don't have to worry about whether this treatment is a continuation of that 18-week clock. We don't have to worry about whether 18 weeks is the wrong and inappropriate length of time for this treatment, which it often would be. All we have to do is just record our RTT period, which is the experienced wait from referral to treatment of this bit of AHP treatment. So we are now going to be doing RTT monitoring of our AHP-led services, but there is no specific target wait as in the 18 weeks target. All we have to do, we just have to actually record the wait. We don't have to meet any particular waiting time targets at the moment. I'm sure they will come in at some stage. So the good part about it is RTT monitoring for AHP, it's just another type of RTT monitoring. But the rules are essentially the same for all RTT monitoring, so we can use the existing 18-week functionality in IPM, we can use that for AHP RTT monitoring just the same. So if we look at the first slide again, this is the AHP RTT awareness lecture, and what I'm going to go through is what is RTT reporting for AHP-led services. Where we are now, service managers do have a good idea of the waiting times for their service, but we're not doing it in the same kind of accurate to the patient level way that 18-week reporting is done, and that is now the requirement on us to do it in that way. So where we hope to be in April 2010 is that each service should be capturing the clock events on the patient journey so that we can produce these RTT reports. The reports will be internal to start with, but they may eventually start going to Unify in the same way that the 18 weeks reports go. Okay, so why we're doing this, why this project is important. The main advantage for services is that currently the commissioners do not have accurate information on how the money they spend is actually delivered on the ground in terms of these RTT periods. So if we can produce this information accurately, we can go on to, I think what's called cost and volume contracts, whereby if you know your RTT performance, you can then, it then becomes quite obvious what resources you need to improve where you've got unacceptably long waiting times. You can reasonably request more resources to tighten, to shorten those waiting times up. And so if the accurate RTT information is there, that becomes a process that everybody can take part in. So the main advantage of doing this is that it will allow us to attract in more resources to services which are currently stretched. 18 weeks was applied to consultant-led services over the last couple of years, so predominantly in acute trusts, but also a few primary care trust services which are consultant-led had to also go on to 18 weeks last year. So some services may have an issue where you'll have to decide if the patient is on an 18-week clock because the treatment they're getting is consultant-led, or if they are on an AHP clock because the treatment they're getting is AHP-led. That certainly happens with some children's and some physio services. But again, that's one of the issues that we'll need looking at. And they need the training in putting these clock events into the IPM pads, a lot of which they'll be doing already. It will just need sort of tweaking slightly to make sure that everything's going in properly. One of the things being, I think at the moment everything's being put in on a 98, which is 18 weeks does not apply. But that will now, although 18 weeks does not apply, the AHP RTT now does apply. So we have to start using the same RTT codes as if for 18 weeks, but the codes will be for AHP reporting. Okay, so originally we thought we were going to be talking about what is 18 weeks. In fact, we're talking about what is RTT reporting for AHP services. So the other obvious question to that is, right, what is not on RTT reporting for AHP services? So this is a good example of where the RTT rules are the same for 18 weeks as they are for AHP reporting. So RTT reporting, it doesn't apply to like emergency, like A&E referrals, or urgent care, like anything that's sort of sent up immediately or sent up next day, things like ectopic pregnancies. Anything that has to be treated immediately is not what is called elective. So RTT doesn't apply to any of that. You may, after the sort of emergency or urgent episode, you may then get a referral to an AHP service, but that's the same as if it came from a GP or someone else. But basically, any kind of urgent treatment is not included. As with 18 weeks, like a referral, it either was on an 18-week clock or it wasn't. That was the first thing you had to work out. So now with our AHP-led services, a referral, it either will be on an RTT clock or it won't, and that's the first thing that people will have to be looking at. The other thing that's not on RTT reporting is, planned care actually means different things to different people, but planned care, where it means that you're having regular periodic checkups, either sort of 6-monthly or annual checkups, they're just repeating activity, and they're not. They would occur after the first definitive treatment has been given, and they're just periodic checkups. So they would not normally be included in the RTT reporting, as they should just happen at the allotted time. You can have an issue where these sort of periodic checkups, certainly in 18 weeks, if there isn't sufficient capacity to get people through their 18-week pathways in time, you may find that periodic checkups actually sort of slide well beyond what they should be, and that's a sort of hidden waiting system. But we're probably not going to that would be in phase 2 of this project if we were going to start looking at that.